Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Retro Pop Planet. And I guess you probably knew where we were just from my title of this video, but yes, these are the famous painted ladies in San Francisco. Today I'm going to take you on the filming locations for as many seasons as I can get for the late 80s, early 90s classic Full House. So let's go.
Let's start this party with the familiar shot of the family driving across the Golden Gate Bridge. They're all cruising in Danny's red 1961 Oldsmobile 88. Did you know that it's called Bullet? It's wrecked in an episode in the first season, but a replacement is found by Uncles Jesse and Joey. And then cut to a scene of them playing soccer in a park in Los Angeles. Now introducing John Stamos, John Posey, Dave Cool. Wait, what? Who is John Posey? Oh wait, this is from the unaired pilot episode in 1987. Apparently the character of Danny Tanner was written with Bob Saget in mind, but he was unavailable due to a contractual obligation. A pilot was filmed with the comedic actor John Posey, but this unaired episode was scrapped and replaced with Saget in the final role of Daniel Ernest Tanner. The intro and outro had to be reshot. I'll show the full video because it almost looks like an SNL spoof because we're all so used to seeing Bob Saget's jovial grin. In a recent interview, John Stamos stated that he almost turned down the role after reading the script. As an up-and-coming soap star, the show was pitched to him as a comedy, like Bosom Buddies, where he could have a breakout role like Tom Hanks did. However, during his first read-through with Jodie Sweetin, he realized that she was getting all of the laughs. It turned out this cast would be more of an ensemble and would make stars out of all of them. Let's now roll the season 1 intro. I've watched these enough times now to realize two things. One, in the early seasons, the camera focuses on one of the Olsen twins sitting in their car seat, then fades to a boom shot of the cast driving slowly down a rando street, probably on the studio lot. Then fades to a helicopter shot of a car with stunt people or extras driving across the bridge. As a kid, I thought the flyover was of the entire cast driving across the bridge, but you can clearly see that that never happens. I'll bet the studio insurance company wouldn't permit this. And this bridge flyover is the exact same throughout all 8 seasons. We went across the bridge in an open-top tour bus, and it is windy. This is essentially Michelle's view if she were riding across the bridge with her family and looking out at the helicopter. We finally get our proper Bob Saget introduction, and for some reason a brand new Dave Coulier spot, and then Candace and Jody in their studio bedrooms. The second thing I realized is that the cast didn't travel to San Francisco for any location shooting until season 4. Which is understandable, because why would a studio spend the money if there isn't any guarantee the show is actually going to take off? But boy, were they wrong. So the Fisherman's Wharf scenes were filmed using extras dressed to look like our main characters. The Wharf is a very popular tourist destination and looks exactly the same today, 36 years later. I'll slow the footage down so you can get a look at the restaurants in the background. And here's my brother reenacting Danny walking with the girls. I had a much harder time finding the fishing pier and didn't identify it until the last hour of our trip.
So many of these fishing piers, so it's hard to know exactly where that intro scene in the pilot season was filmed, but they're fishing somewhere off of one of these types of piers. And this is Pier 43, I believe. Or it could be that pier over there, but I'm really not sure.
But that wasn't it, because I believe it was this one, which I didn't investigate until we exited our very last ferry, which you can see in the still of this last clip. And truthfully, it's probably none of the above, because these piers would have been completely rebuilt since filming took place. Thanks to various internet sleuths, we now know that these park scenes were filmed at Griffith Park in Los Feliz, Los Angeles. The girls are happy they weren't T-boned by a trolley, and Uncle Jesse takes a ride on his cruiser, attempts band practice, and then cruises for 80s babes at the park. And now for the most reckless segment in the entire introduction. Danny performing some light stunt work with Michelle down Lombard Street, one of the most infamous streets in the entire world. It has no fewer than 8 hairpin turns. It's obviously a stunt double, and we see Bob Saget briefly dressed in the same outfit before the ride. Cars regularly slam into the barricades, and we witness one cyclist almost flip over his handlebars. I didn't capture the exact angle, but recklessness aside, isn't this something you could actually see goofy Danny Tanner trying to do to enact cool points from his family? They could have actually made an entire episode out of this segment, complete with a PSA about safe bicycling for kids. We'll finish off the season 1 intro with the customary dinner table scene and a zoom out shot of their home, which I'll return to later in this video. Season 2 starts with a brand new ensemble shot taking into account the kids' ages, and then the same bridge flyover. And then we get some more horsing around at the park. I can't tell if it's the family or the cast, determined to hurt each other, but some of these scenes are pretty rough for a TV show. And I totally had a shirt just like the one Stamos is wearing. In the early seasons, Danny is a sports reporter, so he supports all of the local teams. Speaking of outfits, I would totally rock that sweater today. We get a new angle of the set house here with Stephanie and the interior of a grocery store, which could actually be a real supermarket. Back to the park and then the wharf, which already seems dated even for the second season. We get some more babes for the boys in the produce aisle. This season is wild because I have no recollection of this opener. As the individual characters get fleshed out on the show, these little skits start to reflect their personalities. All in all, it's not a very memorable opener since we haven't quite gotten around to introducing the legacy characters to the series. So let's all have a deep breath, squeeze Mr. Bear real tight, and plunge into Season 3, which starts exactly the same as Season 2. At this point, I've come to suspect that the stunt driver is riding with mannequins in Bullet. And check this out. Once I show you this, you will not be able to unsee it. It looks like the Uncle Jesse doll flopped forward in the seat because the head or wig is almost in the front seat. Now we're back to soccer in the park, and then our 3 leading men. Okay, moving on. The only change next is to the girls. Because they're kids and are growing fast, we need to update their cast profiles. Fun fact, Candace Cameron Bure is only like a year older than me. The major change is that Lori Loughlin now becomes a series regular and gets her own name card. And we get to pay our respects to Rocket from that one insane episode in Season 2. Oh, don't worry, he's not dead. We just never see him again. The other benefit to a show with legs is now they have a couple of memorable episodes behind them where they can draw clips from to use in the next season's intro, which is what they do here. Then we'll finish it off with the bros and backyard burgers. Season 4 begins with a brand new cast driving scene, which could be in San Francisco, but it would be nearly impossible to identify this street. We're now fully primed for the on-location cast introduction, starting with this shot of Uncle Jesse playing the guitar on a bench in San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park. A number of these segments were filmed here or nearby, and I'll point them out in case you want to recreate them for yourself. John Stamos is seated facing the bay with Girardelli Square behind him. Remember the painted ladies from the beginning of my video? Bob Saget is buffing his car at one of the entrances to Alamo Square Park, just to the left of the painted ladies, right here.
Alright, so we're just across the street from the painted ladies, but right about here is where Danny Tanner is washing his car during one of those season openings. And it's in front of this house right here on the corner.
Dave Coulier also gets an updated spot, this time in front of the Eureka, an 1890 built steam ferry boat. Several of these historical boats are docked in the San Francisco National Maritime Park at the Hyde Street Pier. It's part of the National Park Service and you have to pay to enter, so this is the closest I could get on this visit. The girls get all new back to school style intros and a weird little montage to remind us how much the Olsen twins have grown. Becky becomes Aunt Becky in season 4, but here she is in Maritime Park in front of a bed of hibiscus, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. I walked all over trying to find this location and then realized the production crew just flipped the position of the cameras from where Uncle Jesse was set up. Basically, just turn around and face the water. The next news shot is as iconic as the city itself. The gang steps off the trolley at Hyde and Lombard Street. Remember the one with the hairpin turns? This exact trolley shot is the same as used in commercials like Toys R Us and Rice-A-Roni. Walking here by foot is really strenuous. Basically just walk straight up Hyde. No, really, it feels like it's almost straight up. The next clip completely eluded me. There are several boat docks along the water, but most of them are private slips and you can't enter unless you're a member. The camera is facing toward the Golden Gate Bridge, which is lost in the haze over the guy's left shoulders. Here's a couple images and one of me just goofing off. And for the first time, we get to the penultimate scene in Full House history. This clip is the reason why most viewers and fans think that they live in one of the Victorians behind them, the Painted Ladies. And I think I know why. In the first 3 seasons, the intro closes on their actual home and then zooms out to the bay. But this clip runs for the remaining 5 seasons. And in syndication, where most people have watched the show, the intros were cut to just a few seconds, with this picnic being the most prominent.
So I fully admit to being a Full House-aholic. When it debuted in the late 80s, I was like in middle school and I was a teenage high school boy throughout its run, and I watched it. All my friends, we loved Full House. We used to talk about it in school. It was on TGIF, of course, and so I have no shame. So a lot of people are actually sitting down there, but I've been sitting here rewinding the intro several times, and they are actually having their picnic right around where I'm standing right now. And it looks like this pathway might be new as of, this didn't exist when the show was being filmed. And there's also a little fountain down here that you cannot see in any opening shots, but it actually blocks that last house. So this fountain is probably, new sometime within the last 25 to 30 years, as well as this pathway that you see this truck coming up, because this is all greenery in that opening shot. And they look to be sitting somewhere right around here as the camera's panning. And then you see the name Jeff Franklin. All right, these guys here are reenacting the best they can. Michelle? And here's a closer look at these beautiful Victorian homes known as the Painted Ladies. They are gorgeous.
One of the benefits of editing a long video like this is I identified a filming location from my own clips. Remember when I said it would be nearly impossible to identify this street? It appears that it's Steiner Street, because you can see one of the Painted Ladies right behind them. And in my footage, it has the exact same paint job, identifiable by the front stairs. Oh yeah, we're in season 5, by the way. The season where Jesse and Becky become parents. There are not many changes to this intro. DJ now has a giant 14-inch computer monitor. Comet finally makes an appearance in the intro. I said Comet finally makes an intro. Michelle bangs on some drums. Gibbler is here. Want to see what it's like to ride the trolley from the Tanner's point of view? And the rest of the intro is the same. trucking right along into season 6, and for the first time we have our Full House font in yellow. We've also changed up the order of our segments and have a few new cast profiles of the girls. The nosy next door neighbor, and Disney's Aladdin. I mean, Steve is in the house. We also see the twins with a massive time jump in age. And the rest of the intro is the same. Phew, we're in the home stretch here with season 7. I'll skip to the new stuff, and it is a doozy. Remember the very special episode with DJ refusing to eat and obsessively work out? They honored that with her riding an exercise bike in her room. That aged poorly. Jody and the twins get yet another new opening, and Kimmy and Steve, that quarterback form is terrible by the way, have practically moved in, and the twins officially live in the attic with their parents. Season 8, the final season, 1995, a fly-in title card, Uncle Jesse and his 1966 Mustang at the Coit Tower, which we walked to.
Finally made it to the top.
Yeah, your view, better view back down there. You could like these places. Hey, cheap.
Danny walking up Lombard Street, which I didn't get the proper angle for. Uncle Joey riding his blades up a hill in Maritime Park, right here. DJ sporting that quintessential mid-90s fashion, tie and suspenders. Stephanie walking along the beach at Maritime Park. And Becky in the one spot I didn't capture on this trip because you really needed a car to get to this location. It's the Golden Gate Overlook right here. Gibbler Rooney munching on a San Francisco Danger Dog. It took me a little bit to find this location, and my video doesn't quite match up, but she's near a wall that runs the perimeter of the Maritime Museum. The twins don't match up either because I think this may have been videoed back in LA. But here were two blonde-headed twins playing on a bench that looked a lot like Nikki and Alex. Did they have to pay their cartoonist twice? Anyway, another shot that doesn't quite match up because I think the park lights have changed. But this is in the general area.
All right, guys, we're gonna end the video here. 1709 Broderick. This is actually where the Tanner family lives. It's not one of the painted ladies. It's actually right here.
1709 Broderick Street. The property features heavily on the show, but the interiors were shot on the Warner Brothers lot in LA. In 2016, Jeff Franklin purchased the house and wanted to restore it to look like the TV show. Let's just say the neighbors were not enthusiastic. A flood of fans pulled up just to take photos while we were here. I briefly spoke to one of the neighbors, and she seemed frustrated by all the attention, but was perfectly nice to me. It has been repainted and the interior is remodeled. Look it up online. It looks nothing like the TV show would have you to believe. It went back on the market in 2019. I really wanted to peek the backyard, but it was impossible from any angle.
All right, we actually tried to go around either side of the block to see if Gibbler was home. And this is the only backyard that we're actually able to see in. We wanted to see if the TV show backyard replicated real life at all. I might see if I can do some sort of a Google Street View, but this is about as close as you're going to get to an actual Broderick Road backyard.
Luckily, this photo exists, and you can see it's nothing like the Tanner backyard. The Netflix series Fuller House did some actual exterior filming here, but not a lot.
Through the magic of television, there's no way in hell that family could live in this house. It is way too small for all of them, but it's still pretty funny. you like this video, please give it a like and feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if I missed anything. Feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.
Bro, did he just slide tackle him?